Okay. Now, hello everyone. My name is Nigel Bart. I'm here at GPAC Golden Prairie Arts Council, and this is the Saturday clay hand building drop-in that I'm doing. And I'm recording these little 10-minute sessions to give some ideas on what you can build with a little bit of clay. So usually I do hand building sculptural work, and some people think it's kind of a mystery how you can build something out of clay, how you can get ideas flowing. Well, today I'm going to focus on the idea of like something that's really to me something that hold on, I'm just going to move my screen a little bigger so I'm not like leaning in too much. Okay. So I'm going to minimize this a bit. Okay. So what I'm about to do is demonstrate the idea of like building a concept and turning it into a sculpture. And we're doing it sort of beginner level, so you don't have to have a lot of experience doing this with clay, although a little bit could help. It could help you, but if you're just brand new at clay, never touched like a bit of clay before, this will be an okay experience for you. There was a time when I started just like playing with clay and not knowing what I was going to make, and how that process happens where you get an idea and you want to transfer it into like a object or a sculpture. That's where we're going with this. So today there's a lot of where my heart is today is the sort of the turmoil in the world, and so when I was preparing for this little demonstration, I was thinking, like, conceptually, how would I respond as a person witnessing some of the turmoil in the world today? And an image, sort of an image, was coming in my head. And the image was like a kneeling figure. So someone like sort of like on their hands and knees, almost like it could be defeat, or like a feeling of defeat, or like witnessing sort of someone showing extreme humility, or just it could be a sort of a it's not really religious themology, but there could be a religious undertone. But when someone's on their knees, it shows that there's something going on with that person. So so what I'm going to demonstrate first, first of all, you cut up a lump of clay off your block or your bag, out of your bag. And so this has already been, I've just tapped it like this into a ball. And I like to hold my clay and just make sure what I like to do is imagine things while I'm holding this clay. And I'm just gonna let that ring for a moment. And basically, just let it finish and take the message so it's not interfering. Okay, I think that was it. Okay, so I'll move a little closer to the camera. I'll tilt my camera lens down a bit, and I just want to ensure Janet is still there. Yes, she's still there. Okay, it's all good. And so what we have here is a ball of clay. It's I don't know how like it's about that big. So it's about, I don't know how many even pounds this is, but it's like a little cutoff of a bag from a box of clay that you can get at Sounding Stone. Sounding Stone in Winnipeg carries clay of any type. You can order it online. You can actually have it sent to GPAC here. So and we can order it for you. So if you have any questions, we can get clay for you. So this is what we would do. I always start my sculpture just kind of push it down a little bit of pressure. Use your strength, however you don't like overexert. Just like what you want to do is flatten it just a little bit. There's a little flat edge there now. See? And then, so what I'm going to do, I've done a lot of different objects, including some really difficult sculptural things that I wouldn't suggest you start with. So when starting a sculpture, you want to get good at sculpture. You just clay sculpture, you just kind of put pressure on it. And I always start with this sort of shape when I'm doing that figure on the ground. So I've done a few of these figures, and at the end of this little demo, I'll show you a few examples of some of my work on my website. So yeah, it's coming. So you just want to kind of flatten it out, kind of like a water bubble or a teardrop. But it's kind of like, doesn't have to be nice and perfect, but you just want to get it sort of like in this kind of shape. So you see it's already sort of like that. So basically when it's in this shape, at this point you start molding it. Hold on. You want to work fairly, like pace yourself. You don't want to stop, because the clay can dry out. This clay is already starting to crackle a bit, and that means it's starting to dry. And just don't slam the door. I'm just in the middle of a same demonstration. So so at this point, this would be the back. Let me aim it that way. This is the back of the person. We're looking at someone, he's got in his head, this is going to be where his feet are. So what I want to do is put two little things there. So that's the bottoms of his feet right there. So you're already seeing that's right. And his knees sort of like are going to be bending in like this way. I don't know if that's visible to see what's happening. You'll start to see what I'm doing in a few months. I'm not like adding anything on at the moment. So I'm just gonna, I'm sort of crafting his head here. And right now he looks kind of like a turtle developing, which is sort of what I'm hoping for. So you just like create the head, because his head is down here. And I also find this extremely therapeutic when I'm going through my own like stress points or whatever, doing this clay work, just doing it alone, being quiet, and just even listening to my own music. It helps me center me. So this is the head part, the back of the head here. And the arms, I feel like should go something like this. So I'm gonna pull this clay out. So I'm pulling it out, and just pulling. So when you have, I'm just looking if someone entered. But when you have excess clay, you always want to stretch it out a bit. You don't want, when you're firing it in the kiln, you don't want big blocks of clay or like big, this would explode in the kiln. If it was like this, it would explode. So what you got to do is kind of make sure it's not too heavy or too thick. So as I go here, now he's looking like sort of like a real or turtle here, but I want to like stretch his arms, like narrow it. Clay is very pliable and malleable, so you can keep on stretching it to a point, and then after a certain point it starts to dry out, and then it starts to crack, and so it becomes a little more difficult to so this one, I want his arms sort of bent backwards a bit. So this is going to be his shoulder blades. I really get into it. Like I'm really, like I try to feel, manipulate the clay in a way that's like, this is too high. This is like his back. So I'm going to drop that down, take a chunk off. And yeah, we got about 5 minutes left to just this part of the demonstration. And so I pull out some of this clay here. That's where the back side of the person is. It's sort of like he's bent, he's kneeling, and as he goes, so if you must, you can use a butter knife, or you can get these little wooden tools at Sounding Stone. So you just you can carve with them, and I'm carving out the feet a little bit, and so what I'm doing here is sort of like, is in a position of like, sort of like on his knees, sort of like that. So I just want to get this shape right. So I'm going to just close my mouth for a moment and try to get this right. You can watch as I do this, and sometimes, you know, watching will give you a little clue of what's entailed as I sculpt this. So his hands are there. So I'm just, as I do this, this is like his one arm there. And this is like, I want to, I was gonna try to carve this a bit. He does look like a turtle at this point, but just gotta work with it. And you know, like sometimes, you know, you get discouraged. You say, this is not looking like what I want it to look like. Don't give up. Just keep. You always can, like, you can always add a little bits of clay on. If, for example, something's not right there, you just add it on, like just sort of stick it on. Clay is very sticky, and it has a certain time life, so you can just keep like adding little bits on and taking little bits off, and they're not gonna affect your end result. So people like, one more thing when you're sculpting is people like to have a nice clean surface, like smooth surface, which I'll come up to that point. But when it's at this stage, a smooth surface is not even like, you don't need to have a smooth surface, because like when you're finished your sculpture, basically, because the smooth surface, you can sand it when it's dry. You can still sand your clay when it's been fired. So there's a lot of steps from getting this to a finished piece. So which includes letting it dry, knowing how to dry it slowly, and then baking it in the kiln. So I'm just gonna like, I want to like, you know, I'm almost thinking these hands are too flayed there. I want to put them on the, like, just a little more narrow around there. It's kind of like, so, you know, I don't know if this position of existence, kind of submissive, kind of sacred, kind of saying like I'm it's kind of a worshiping position, but it's also like I'm defeated too. I don't so to me, this how it relates to the theme of today, which is like sort of we call it world violence that happens in the world. I'd say this is a position that many people forget. It's like humility. So as I go here, he's like there. He's coming. It takes some time. So I'm just gonna see if I can get into a position where. So you want to. A lot of this is like. A lot of this is sort of like, it has taken a lot of years to get me to figure out how to, for example, mold like this, or so don't expect miracles out of yourself right away. And even at this point, I I kind of look at some of my stuff and I feel, well, I still, I still struggle with making clay. It's not like sculpture. I don't consider it's something that you're ever like a master at, or like what, I don't know how to say that, but so I'm carving out the knees here. So I don't know if you can see, that's the knee, and would be the bottom of the leg. It's folded in there. And so a lot of this has come, my ability to do this has come from watching a lot of, or like I went to art school, so we did a lot of figure drawing, like studying the human anatomy too, like looking at books to understand how human anatomy comes together. So as we get to this point, what I'm gonna do is, like, the ribs are like there. I'm just drawing out some simple things. So at this point, you have a figure, he's on his knees, and the next few steps are somewhat going to be refining this figure. I'm just gonna stop there, stop the video, check in with my audience, and I may continue the video in a few moments, but I'm gonna call on my audience here for a few questions perhaps. So I can open this up a second. I'm gonna stop the recording, or I'll pause the recording. So at this stage, we've been working for about 20 minutes now on this sculpture, and I'm getting him into this. To me, is at 50%. He's at 50% of where I want to get him at. If you can, like a 5 out of 10 where I want to get him at, he's still got some room to go. So I'm going to build up his shoulders a bit, and this is called additive method, where you just add little bits of clay, not huge chunks of clay. You just kind of mold it on a bit, like pinch it on a bit. Now, if you have experience with pinch pots or coil building, that's a wonderful beginning to clay sculpture, like to sculpture, because pinch pots are actually it's just a form of like molding clay. So the more you do it, the more experience you get, and it'll lead into itself, like it'll lend itself to sculpture. So I'm just going to keep working a bit. The arms go back. They kind of go, the shoulder goes just in a wee bit, and the arms go down. This is the forearm I'm working on right now, but you see it's cracking a bit. So I'm going to stop right there on that part of him and not push it too hard. So I never like to push. Just going to minimize that. I never like to push the clay beyond what it can do. Although when you're starting, that can be the best experience ever, to push it a little too far. You'll see how far the clay goes, and then you won't go that far the next time. So I'm just working on these forearms, trying to get them the right proportion. And I'm at this stage, and it's like, the way I sculpt here is like I'm always going back to the tap back to the head, and then I'll go to the feet. I'm sort of going all over the place, and so I'm still working. It's good to breathe, slow down when you're doing this, and don't hunch like I'm hunching right now. You'll have a sore back. Get into a good posture while you're doing this. And you just kind of, like, this is the way I sort of carve a little bit with my fingertips, and you want to get the lower part of the leg here. I want to make sure he's not like, he's proportional is what I'm trying to get him. And so just want to carve this part up. That's his leg, and starting to look better. I'd say we're getting at a 6 out of 6, 6 out of 10 here so far, and I'm keeping her working. And so I don't want to make them too fancy. Like I don't want to like, I don't want people to think that you have to make something like so realistic that like for, especially for a first time. So his back goes something like that. So he's kind of like, it's more realistic to go like that. So it's not really like hunching a certain way. So he's about a 7 or a 10. So he's coming and coming. And sometimes you just want to like smooth it out a bit. Don't go overboard on smoothing. As I carve this guy out a bit, I have little tools to add texture, which I'll add a little bit of texture. So I don't know if I've lost Janet, but I think I may have. I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, I think it's just me here now. So I will just close this. Close that. It's okay. So I'm gonna keep. Oh no, Janet's still there. Okay, I'm still gonna go a little further here, and so what I'm gonna do. This beautiful little tool here is great for hair. So, you know, because I'm moving fairly quickly here and the clay is drying out. If you want to add hair, it's a little wire tool. It's like a little broom, tiny little thing. You can get these at Sounding Stone or any pottery art store. And you just sort of scratch a bit of texture and not too hard. So the hair, that's the hair developing. So what I'm showing you is that you can put nice textures on of any sort. And at this stage, what happens here, you sort of get the impression now it's becoming a little clear that there's a figure there on his or her knees. And, you know, to understand, you know, so much of the work of an artist is what you see and what you study and how you translate it into art, like drawing or sculpture. So it takes a lot of discipline, self-discipline to study nature, anatomy, whatever you focus on, flowers, still lifes. Like if you're focused on making something, it takes incredible like self-discipline to study it and then come up with something. So I am going to make this person a little incense holder, and I'm going to show you how to drill a little hole like right in the shoulder area, right back here. And it's going to be a little incense holder. So I'm going to make a little dip here to catch the ashes. And then we're getting there. So carve that out a bit. Carve your knees out a bit. This part, the underside of the knees. How far are we along here? I think I'm going to give it 2 more minutes and then I'm going to stop. And I just have to go around the base here a bit. And you get the general impression of what this is entailing. And I could go for hours doing this kind of work. If I moisturize the clay a bit, like just, you don't want to ever moisturize the clay like direct, like spray, like with the spray hose. You just want to kind of back up, just give it a little mist. It's a little bit, actually this is a little, try misting. Hold on. Just want to mist. Oh, that's fire. Try to mist it. I'm just going to try misting this a bit. Just give it a little rain. You just want to give it a little rain, not a lot. Just let it sit for a moment to soak in and then carry on. So if it's drying, you just not too much water ever, because it'll fall apart. It loses natural ingredients that bind this clay when you water it down. So so at this stage, a lot of work has been done. And this little poker tool, very good to use. So you can cut off excess clay. I don't know if you can see that, what I'm doing. I'm cutting off excess clay. That makes it look sort of unnatural how it's sitting. So I'm just, oh, the foot just flopped up. That's like not good. So you just kind of put it down, push it down again. It still can hold. don't worry that you've damaged the piece. Just gonna cut more of this off. Get that little edge off and around the hands and arms and getting there. This little area where the knee is, I want to build it up a bit more. It's still got some life to it because this is drying at a rate here because it's dry in the building. But we keep going until I think I'm gonna stop there, and I'll be working on this guy. I'll show a photo of him afterwards. So this is, a figure on their knees. So it doesn't have to look exactly real, like realistic. And to get the incense little hole here, I just poke a little hole like that, widen them out a bit. Perfect. And you'll see a little hole in the shoulders around there. And when I tilt put my little bit of incense in there like that, beautiful incense holder, peaceful little meditational object. When you're thinking, you're stressed out, just, you can meditate upon this piece of art. And then, as I was mentioning before, off camera, you can just scoop out the little bit of clay here. And inside there, you want to just scoop it out with either a little teaspoon or a tool, wooden pottery tool. You don't want to go too deep, but you want to get it so there's no long, like you don't want 2 inches of clay because that can explode in the kiln. So there you have it. That's my little demonstration for today, and I'm just gonna see if my audience is still there. Looks like they're still there, so I'm gonna stop the video and log them in, and maybe they'll. Okay, so here we are at this stage. We're continuing on. Clay is getting a little dry, so I could dampen a sponge or just put a little bit on my hand and just moisturize him a little bit. You don't ever want to use a lot of water because it'll just sort of get a little crackly and just break apart. So just kind of tap. It'll absorb fairly quickly. So now at this stage, I'm not really satisfied with the legs, how they're turning out. So I'm just going to carve them out a bit more. I'm going to add little bits here and there in an additive sort of method here of sculpture. And so just going at it. Okay, build up those quads, this part of the top part of the leg. And you want it not to look, it has to bend a certain way. The legs. You can also look at like a picture while you sculpt to get some inspiration. And just carve this part out here because the leg goes up there. I'm feeling more confident about this part now. And do the heel of the foot, the ankle, the heel. Stop there on that side. Flip it over this way. Do work on this side because I'm definitely not satisfied with this part. Bring it down. Clean that little edge up. Build it up more on the hip area. Going. I'm working fairly quickly. You don't have to work this quickly. Go slower if you like, at your own pace, always. And that's getting to be a better shape. I'm going to build the hips up a bit. The hips on this side. I always like to do it like look at symmetry, symmetrical, make things symmetrical. Here. Carve it out a bit. Good. One way to make it sure it's symmetrical is to touch it on both sides, like mold it on both sides at the same time. And I'm gonna give this piece a title right now, and because of the state of where we started and the concept of this piece, I'm gonna call this Ukraine. So this is where I'm at. And just a little button the feed a bit more. Okay. I want to get it to a like at a place at a level where I feel like, yeah, it could stand as a sculpture. Someone could put it, you know, an incense sculpture. Someone might want to, you know, have it as an object in their house or patio somewhere. So sculpture is a unique kind of thing. You never know who might gravitate to a sculptural. Obviously, sculpture is sometimes a unique taste. So, you know, you just kind of sometimes it's sort of luck of the draw where if someone's interested in your sculpture, not everyone may be interested in the same things. Okay, it's drying out. This little guy is done, pretty dry. So I think I'm just gonna look at them carefully. I'm gonna put a little more detail with the pointy tool, pin tool. Just draw. Because a lot of this now at this stage, the drawing skills come in. So like there's a lot of crossover skills that you use amongst clay and other arts. So if you're you know good at drawing, you'll also be good at like putting detail on clay. Now this part, the backside of the individual, like I don't want to make super detail. I want to make it sort of idealized, like just like sort of like this term generalized. So I don't want to put a lot of detail in that area of the sculpture. So I think get rid of these crumbs here. At this stage, I want to put some rib cage in there. The rib cage. Just a few lines like that. Let's the ribs come in. Okay, hold on. I gotta stop the video and get that phone. Okay, so we're at the stage of putting the ribs cage. The ribs actually extend right to the spine, so you'll see these ribs go around. Kind of go this way. They kind of curve in a way. They go like around this way and around that way. And the back and the hip area. You got the hips coming down there. You make little lines where those hips might be. And finally, the shoulder blades, just put little marks there where the shoulder blades are. And finally, your little indent around the shoulders on the inside. And I'm almost there. I'm almost there. We're at about a 9, 8, 9 out of 10. So what I'm gonna do now, just carve in a little ears in here. Just draw little ears in. That's the ears, so you sort of get more detail stuff here. The ears, side of the chin, You can clean up some of that clay, the excess clay, and I think coming up to the finish line here for this piece, if you wish to create like a bit of fabric drapery, sort of drapery over this figure, all you need to do is like create little ripples. So you just create little ripples. So it'd be like a piece of fabric draped over this figure. So you just kind of imagine that there's, how fabric sort of drapes over an object, person and object. So there we go. We're almost there. I put a little bit of fabric drapery here because this figure, she is kind of, I think we're done. So there you have it. Sculpture, the second podcast or second Zoom recording of hand building sculptural stuff with Nigel Bart. You have an incense holder, incense to go there, and there you have it. Stop.